What's up, everybody? Welcome back. We're here with some more NFL DFS picks and lineup advice for DraftKings and FanDuel. This time for the Week 1 Monday Night Football single game showdown slate between the Minnesota Vikings and the Chicago Bears. In this video, we will talk about the injuries that impact the slate, all of the personnel changes that these two teams made over the offseason, core plays and strategies for low risk DFS contests on DraftKings and FanDuel, and then we'll give you tips and strategies and picks to help you win the biggest prizes that both DraftKings and FanDuel have to offer in their tournaments. Welcome, I'm Brian Jester, co-founder here at Occupy Fantasy, single game $1 million winner, and last slate of Week 1. It's been a great Week 1 so far. I'm not sure how this game can match last night's Bills and Ravens game, and whatever the opposite of that game is, we might get that tonight, but guess what? There's still money to be won, so we're going to talk about it and we're going to play it. Now, just a quick programming note. Next Monday is actually a two-game slate, a game at 7 and a game at 10, so a little bit different than what we've seen so far through the early NFL season. That will actually be a live stream instead of a pre-recorded, uploaded video in the mornings like we've done for showdown slates so far. So just to know when it goes live, make sure you're subscribed here on YouTube. It's free to do so. You'll get notified whenever we post videos, and when we have live streams like that, you'll get notified exactly when we go live. So let's jump into tonight, and let's talk about the Bears and the Vikings. And if we start with personnel changes on both sides, you know what? Let's start with the injuries first because the injuries are somewhat brief, but they are impactful for tonight. On Minnesota side, they're actually going to be without their free safety Harrison Smith, starting free safety. That certainly impacts their defense. So if you're looking for a reason to play Bears tonight, there's certainly an upgrade to their offense with Minnesota missing their starting free safety. Wide receiver Jordan Addison, their number 2 receiver, is suspended for the first 3 games of the year. He will not play tonight. We'll talk about his replacement here in a second. On the Chicago side, running back Roschon Johnson, let's get to Chicago here, slated to be the running back too. However, hasn't really practiced much of August with a foot injury. Got in a limited practice on Friday. He is technically questionable. He's not going to play. Head coach Ben Johnson said it would take a Herculean effort, basically, my words, not his, to get Roschon out there. We're hoping to get him back out there soon enough. He's not going to play after just one limited practice for basically the month of August. And we'll talk about his replacement here in a second as well. And then on the defensive side of the ball for Chicago, they'll be without one of their starting linebackers, TJ Edwards. Not a massive difference in their defense, but a starting linebacker is down nonetheless. So a small bump to Minnesota's offense. Now, if we discuss the personnel changes, let's start on Minnesota side. What's new? Their starting quarterback this year is J.J. McCarthy. Remember, Sam Darnold was the starter last year. McCarthy was their rookie draft pick in 2024. Missed the entire season with a knee injury. By all accounts, he looks like the real deal. Reporters, coaches, players, and I'm excited to see him. He's probably the player I'm most excited to see tonight, to see how he fits in his first real snaps in an NFL game, see how he runs this offense. But if you're worried about him being a rookie, worried about his college production or lack of pass attempts in college, I wouldn't worry. Everything points to him being just as, if not more effective than Sam Darnold was last year for the Vikings. Now, they also got a new running back in the mix in Jordan Mason. And there was a report, I think July or early August, saying that this would be a 1A, 1B situation. They'll split carries relatively evenly. So Jordan Mason is going to get his share of touches tonight. Just realize that Aaron Jones will be the passing down back. So he's inherently more valuable because even if they split carries or touches, Jones is going to have more pass catching upside there. How they split the goal line work, that remains to be seen. Either way, Mason going to get touches tonight as a new addition to this running back room. Now, just a couple of weeks ago, I don't even know if it's a couple of weeks ago, at least a week ago, Adam Thielen, they traded for him from the Panthers. Whole thing came out. Adam Thielen wanted to come back home. Panthers obliged to his request. So he comes back to Minnesota, where he started his career and had a long and productive tenure here in Minnesota. So now without Jordan Addison, he will be the wide receiver 2 tonight for Minnesota. Incredibly cheap on DraftKings. We'll talk about his price on FanDuel once we get to the DFS part of the show. And I think that's it for Minnesota. Yeah. All right, let's move over to Chicago. Talked about him already, but probably the biggest change is the new head coach and Ben Johnson, former offensive coordinator of the Detroit Lions. And basically everyone's saying it's night and day between what this coaching staff was last year versus what Ben Johnson is installing, the details he's pointing out to his offensive players. So we should see a bump in Chicago's offensive production. This is a tough matchup for them in week 1, but I think in general, Ben Johnson should be obviously a plus to their offense and Caleb Williams. Now, talked about Minnesota getting a new running back. Talked about Roshan Johnson likely being out tonight. So the running back 2 tonight for Chicago will be rookie Kyle Monangai, who extremely cheap on both sites. And actually this week, Ben Johnson came out and said extreme faith in Monangai to run the ball. They're excited about him. How this backfield is going to be split up, we're not entirely sure, but he should be the running back 2 tonight. And he was productive in college, despite being a later round NFL draft pick. He ran for 1,200 plus yards in back-to-back seasons to close out his college career. So we know he can get it done on the ground. Interested to see what his role is tonight. New wide receiver 3s for Chicago. I say wide receiver 3s because this role is going to probably swap at some point in the season. So obviously DJ Moore, starting receiver. Roma Dunze, second year, should make the leap for Chicago. Now they have the tax collector coming over. Olamide Zaccheaus has been a part of a few teams, has been a big showdown slate winner in the past. He's going to start the season as the wide receiver 3. We saw him catch a touchdown with Caleb Williams and the starters in preseason. He's extremely cheap on both sides. Not sure how many 3 wide receiver sets they'll run. More on that in a second. But Zaccheaus should have the upper edge on snaps tonight. Now, the one that I'm most excited about, I think they're most excited about, is Luther Burden. Maybe hasn't gotten up to speed as quickly as they would have liked. I think if you ask Chicago, they would want him to be starting in 3 wide receiver sets in week 1. Doesn't seem like that's going to be the case tonight, at least based on preseason usage. Maybe they rotate. Maybe Burden actually has overtaken Olamide Zaccheaus in the past couple of weeks, but he's priced up much higher than the tax collector, and more likely we'll see less snaps and less targets tonight. More of a guy that we're looking forward to in future showdown slates. Finally, speaking of how many 3 wide receiver sets will they run, ran a lot of 2 tight end sets early in the preseason with the starters because of this guy. Rookie Colston Loveland looks like the real deal. Basically, from the jump, was installed as a tight end 1 in this offense, which is super impressive as a rookie tight end. Cole Kmet will be the tight end 2, but both are going to play a lot. Cole Kmet got a lot of snaps again in the preseason, and Loveland looks like a guy that is legit and could produce right off the bat, which again is rare for rookie tight ends, but has been less rare in recent seasons. Sam Laporta, Brock Bowers, guys of that nature. Loveland could be the next guy in that line of historically productive rookie tight ends. All right, lots of discussion about who's on the team now, who's injured, who's out. We need to set the stage, especially early in the season, once we get into our lineups and whatnot. And again, this is a DFS focused show. We talked about this earlier, but if you're betting picks, parlays, playing pick'em sites, even just doing fantasy lineups, this show is important, right? So I'll try to call out some things that I see if you are betting and not playing DFS. But again, you can use a lot of the news and notes here for whatever investments you're making into tonight's game. So low risk contests for DFS, 50-50s, double ups, head to heads, have to beat half the field to double your money. It's really bad tonight. It's really bad. So a low-ish total, 44, not too bad. But it's just really tough because we know the Minnesota backfield will be split. If we look on DraftKings here, we have Aaron Jones, Jordan Mason, roughly the same price, $7,400 and $7K. So which guy do we play? We don't know who's going to get goal line work. We can't really lock up all the scoring. Makes it extremely tough. And they're both priced up, right? It's not like one is much cheaper. We actually don't know how Chicago's workload is going to be split. So yeah, DeAndre Swift is going to project way better, likely gets a higher workload split than either of Aaron Jones or Jordan Mason, but we don't know that for sure. And Monangai, who we talked about already, is extremely cheap, $2,800 on DraftKings. We look at FanDuel, Monangai is $2,100 in the MVP, but only just $1,400, barely near the minimum price on FanDuel. If we look at the Minnesota guys, Aaron Jones, $10,400, Jordan Mason, just $5,800. So a really big difference over here. So it really depends on what site you're playing on, which guy you're going to play, how much you're going to play, and in which contest you're going to use them in. Let's go back over to DraftKings. So knowing that, we can't really lock up all the scoring, playing both quarterbacks, both running backs. The best player on the slate is expensive and also not a quarterback or a running back. It is Justin Jefferson. And we don't actually know, as high as I am on J.J. McCarthy, we don't know for sure. What if he sucks and can't get the ball to Justin Jefferson? He won't pay off his price tag. So all this to say, it is a really, really tough low-risk night tonight. I would skip it. I would take shots on high-risk contests. I think it's a decent high-risk night. Leagues, GPP, satellites, tournaments, things of that nature. If you're looking at core plays, guys, you want to get into your lineups, is Justin Jefferson. It is both quarterbacks because they project well on a slate that doesn't have really many top scorers in what we're expecting. So Caleb Williams, J.J. McCarthy. Swift is decent, and if he gets all the workload, he'll look extremely good, even at this price tag. Roma Dunze, I'll talk about this in the high risk section, but he looks pretty good at his price tag. Jones and Mason, yes, the running backs are going to get touches. They're in play as well for most contest types. And then you look down, kickers' defenses are relatively affordable. Adam Thielen, especially on DraftKings at 4,400 as the wide receiver 2, is underpriced. We look at him on FanDuel. We scroll down here. We see Thielen all the way up at 7,800, so not nearly as cheaply priced as he is on DraftKings. Once again, depends on the site that you are playing on. And Monungai, cheap on both sites. Zacchaeus, the wide receiver 3, more than likely going to be extremely popular, especially in small field GPPs, high stakes contests, probably cash games and low risk contests. So those are the guys you're thinking about. It's just how to put those guys together is extremely tough. If I was doing it, I would probably play something like McCarthy. Let's put him at captain. Like McCarthy, Jefferson, Caleb Williams, Zacchaeus, Adam Thielen's underpriced. Let's get him in if I can find him. That leaves us 10,100. Don't love that. Maybe take out Zacchaeus. He's not like he's going to get a ton of targets. It leaves us 60-50 left per player. What if we did Swift? 33. We could do Swift and Monungai, lock up the Chicago backfield. I don't know. It sucks. Let's just be honest. But these are the guys you're thinking about playing in the majority of your lineups. And it's in high-risk contests where we want to start to play the lower-owned guys in a couple of roster spots, play lower-owned captain and MVPs. And that'll get us to the top of leaderboards if the core can do anything whatsoever. But really excited about high-risk contests tonight. Let's get into it. But first, obviously, we got to stay hydrated. Let's get the water break. Viewers, returning viewers know the drill. If you want to support the channel, you can always click the thumbs up. That helps us more than you know. But you want to get creative. You want to show you're a part of the community, show you know what's up. Drop water emojis in the comments below. We saw a lot of water emojis in the last couple of videos, which is crazy to say, right? Like a water sip has turned into this, what this is. So drop some water emojis in the comments. All right. Now, high-risk contest. What you're all here for, how to win the biggest prizes on DraftKings and FanDuel. All right, let's discuss. Again, as I said in the Thursday night video, as I said in the Friday night video, as Chuck said in the Sunday night live stream yesterday, which, by the way, if you didn't join, Chuck is doing that every Sunday afternoon for the Sunday night game, so make sure you're subscribed and you know when that's going live. Did a great job breaking down the Bills and Ravens game yesterday. He said the same thing as I did in the first 2 videos of the season. Now is the time to take shots on things that are unknown or things that the field thinks is definitely known but may not be known, right? We saw yesterday, you just go through all the 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock games yesterday. We had some guys getting touches early in the game, late in the game that we did not expect. Roles were that we projected. Yeah, we got a lot of them correct, but there are some that were just not correct. That's going to be the case early in the season. Teams aren't going to show their hands in the preseason. So if you have a stand or you feel strongly about some lower owned plays tonight, now is the time to play them. I will say, there's really not a ton of angles that I'm looking at tonight, but there are 2 things that I feel pretty strongly about. I talked about this with Chris in our last best ball video of the season on the channel, but I do believe Rome Odunze at 8K, DJ Moore at 9,600. I do believe that it's a change in the guard. Rome Odunze is now the wide receiver 1 on this team. DJ Moore said it early in the offseason. Their preseason targets have said it. Everything is caught up except for best ball pricing and best ball ADP and DraftKings and FanDuel pricing, DFS pricing. So let's take advantage while we can. Rome Odunze should be the number 1 receiver this year instead of DJ Moore. Now that I say this, DJ Moore will absolutely outscore him tonight, so just be prepared for that. But I do think it is a time to save salary or play a guy that we expect to be wide receiver 1 when he's going to be much more expensive later in the season. Is tonight with Rome Odunze. So keep that in mind. That is one of my stronger stands. And again, I do believe J.J. McCarthy is legit. And again, you may not believe that. If you believe he is not, then now's the time to say, I'm not playing J.J. McCarthy in a showdown slate when he's going to be mega popular. This is a good time, right? The field is thinking that there's not many highly projected guys. Let's get a quarterback in there. If you're the one to say, I don't think J.J. McCarthy's ready for the league. I don't think he's a starting NFL quarterback caliber. Don't play him tonight. He's 9K, extremely popular. You can get away from that. Play Caleb Williams or play 0 quarterback builds. Certainly an interesting option tonight. So, whatever you believe, take some stands. The easiest idea tonight, all in all, is with projections being a little lower for most guys, not really excited to play a lot, pricing kind of tough. Let's play the defenses. Vikings at 5,400, but the Bears are at 3,400, so 2K cheaper on DraftKings. Let's go to FanDuel. Let's see what the differences are. And we see we have the Vikings at 7,200, Bears at 6,800, so the Bears are going to be even lower owned on FanDuel. Divisional matchup, first game of offense with Ben Johnson, first game, rookie, essentially a rookie quarterback with J.J. McCarthy, I would hammer defenses tonight. I would be way, way, way overweight on them tonight, and I will be way overweight on them tonight in my lineups. And again, hasn't worked the first 3 showdown slates of the year in the Eagles opener and the Chargers Chiefs and last night's Bills Ravens. It certainly did not work, but it's not going to work every slate. But we know historically defenses are optimal 15 to 20% of the time in showdown contests, and when they are optimal, you use less salary, uniques are less, and you win more money. That's how I won $1 million in the Super Bowl playing the Patriots defense. When defenses are optimal, you have an easier path to get to the top of the leaderboard. You can build more chaotic lineups that the field is not landing on. And I think tonight's a great, great night to target it, because when we have a game like this, generally we see defenses higher owned. That's not necessarily the case, because of some cheaper guys around the same price tag that the field is going to play, they're not going to be very highly owned. In fact, I would say that there will be some contests where both defenses are under 10%. I say we got to hammer that tonight. That's my strongest angle in terms of player selections for tonight. What else we got? When in doubt, this is what I do, and I do it all the time anyways, right? I always check the model, our Occupy model, occupyfantasy.com, where it ranks every player on the slate, projected ownership, right? A lot of times I'm going through these videos, I'm writing the agenda notes, and I know angles right off the bat, what we're going to play. But if there's some angles, I can't find anything. It's really tough to play tonight. Let's just see what the model says. Let's go to the model, and let's just really lean into what the model is telling us. What is the model telling us tonight? Justin Jefferson is number 1. Let's just play him at captain, right? The highest ceiling guy on the slate, let's just play him at captain, number 1. Number 2, eyes emoji, J.J. McCarthy is number 2 ranked player on DraftKings tonight. So, Jefferson captain, J.J. McCarthy stack him with him. Easy start to your lineup. What was really eye-opening was how much love the tight ends are getting tonight. In our model on DraftKings, T.J. Hockenson, number 4 ranked player at 6,600 on DraftKings. And then Colston Loveland, number 6. Colston Loveland at $5,800 because he's a little more expensive, because Cole Kmet's still there. Not going to be super popular. This might be another scenario like Odunze, where this is the cheapest we get him all season in Showdown. He's number 6 in the model. I love playing Colston Loveland tonight as well. And nice to know that with my defenses and kickers angle, the model's really on board tonight too, especially on FanDuel, which is, again, extremely interesting. And when the model backs up a take or an angle that we have, we should push it really heavily. So defenses and kickers, especially on FanDuel tonight. All right, before we get out of here, let's go ahead and review all the cheap players that we may be considering for our lineups. And again, we talked about this with Tyquan Thornton Friday night. Even if you're not playing DFS, right, you had a chance to win some big money in parlays or props, knowing that we said Tyquan Thornton's going to take the Justin Watson role. He's going to see a lot of deep downfield targets. What do you do? You got 3 downfield targets. He caught 1 for 50 yards. Easy receiving yards ladder for Tyquan Thornton. So you can use the tips in this video to make bets as well. All right, guys below kickers and defenses. Luther Burden, 4,600. Again, this is a situation where the field thinks that tax collector is the wide receiver 3. What if Burden has overtaken him in the last 2 weeks? Just what if he has? He is literally 0 to 5% owned because of his price tag. I don't mind mixing him in, especially larger high-risk contests. Thielen we've talked about. Kmet, again, technically the tight end too. He's going to play a lot of snaps. I really like him at 4K as well. Should see 3 to 5 targets. Jalen Naylor is going to be the wide receiver 3. I'm not super excited about him, but maybe he plays more snaps than expected with Thielen just coming over a week and a half ago. We talked about the Bears defense. We talked about Monungai. Ty Chandler is the number 3 running back. We talked about the tax collector. Josh Oliver, the number 2 tight end for Minnesota. And because people are playing the Olamide Zaccheaus, Kyle Monungai, Oliver going way overlooked. If they play more 2 tight end sets they traded for Thielen. They're not super pumped about their wide receiver depth. Maybe Oliver gets a ton of snaps tonight, sees a couple targets. He's an interesting option. The one thing is, though, we're not really saving salary for studs. Like last night in the Ravens and Bills game, we saved a lot of salary to get up to Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry. We're not really rushing to get to guys on tonight's slate, so the cheaper players are inherently less valuable. Not to mention, there aren't really many guys with that many roles. Yurcek is a tight end 3. Ty Felton, wide receiver 4. Johnny Walker, wide receiver 5. Durham Smythe, tight end 3. None of these guys project for more than a target. Britton Brown will probably be called up as a running back 3, but who cares? It's not great. Really not a great slate as far as cheap options go. So, all this to say, looks like a gross slate, but typically those end up being the most profitable. So, make sure you check out our daily plug after this. Our writer Bismo is going to give his rankings, his slate notes, his lineup construction tips. So you want a different mindset, This is what I've thought. This is what the model thinks. But let's see what a really profitable guy in Bismo thinks about tonight's slate. So go read that at occupyfantasy.com. Again, memberships as low as $7 per week. Get you access to those daily plugs for every slate. Get you access to the Occupy model, ranks every player, every slate with projected ownership. Our lineup builder, some new changes coming, by the way, very, very soon. I'm really excited for that. I know you will be as well. We'll have some videos coming and some announcements, so stay tuned for that. And if you have any questions about tonight's slate, drop a comment below. Obviously, drop the water emojis, but any questions or comments, predictions, we love seeing what you guys think. Drop a comment below here. Give us a thumbs up. And again, make sure you are subscribed to the channel because schedules change, especially earlier in the season with these weird 2-game slates, especially later in the season once we get those random Saturday and Island games. Subscribing is the best way to get notified when we go live, upload any videos, show your support for the channel. So for Occupy, I'm Brian. Got it right this time. Appreciate you watching. Good luck and enjoy tonight's Bears and Vikings showdown slate.